Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another new episode of Inside Voices First Takes. I am still Colin Binnig.
And I am always as at Ruben.
Indeed, he is. And today we are going to discuss what we've just both seen from the theaters, Thor Ragnarok.
What were you the god of again?
Or as I like to think of it, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, starring the cast of Thor.
Indeed, yes.
Wow, Colin. Wow.
Yes, I want to hear your thoughts first. Give me your first impression.
Well, first of all, let me just say that I went into this with an expectation level of somewhere between 0 and just above 0. I was not expecting anything from this film. The trailers looked dumb, looked just like a silly thing. So I went in with very low expectations. And yeah, it met them. I would say it exceeded them in that it was very silly, but I thought they did a great job with the silliness. But it definitely, I really got the sense that it was Guardians of the Galaxy-ified. I mean, compared even to the other Thor movies, or frankly, the Avengers movies, which have always had some humor in it. All the Marvel movies have had some humor in them. But this one was just like a straight comedy the whole way through, very much in the same way that the last Guardians of the Galaxy, as we discussed, was. And if you haven't seen that episode, definitely go back, watch the back catalog, was a straight comedy. There was no real action movie left in it. I mean, that was even a running gag in the movie, is that Thor is doing the, 'cause I'm a hero, and that's what heroes do, as a bit. It had no sincerity left in it at all. And it was just a straight, absolute, at times, slapstick comedy. But on the other hand, I thought they did a good job with the comedy. There were definitely moments where I was laughing. I mean, some people in the theater where I was were laughing the whole movie, which is a little much for my taste. But I thought it was genuinely a well-done comedy if it felt a little bizarre that comedy was the choice for this film. Does that make sense?
I understand that completely. I have to say, 2017 is going to be the year of what I think is going to be the funny Marvel movies. Guardians 2 started us off. And I would characterize that as, like you said, silly, not as much substance as the first movie, which was,
absolutely
bad. Spider-Man Homecoming, a very lighthearted, fun, had some substance to it for sure. But again, since it was like a reboot, a reintroduction of Spider-Man, a little bit more breezy, stuff like that.
But a little more sarcastic, a little more comedy, yeah.
Right. And then Thor Ragnarok I thought, in terms of humor, it blew them both out of the water. I thought it was the funniest of these three films this year.
I agree with that.
It was also the most consistently funny. Whereas, Guardians was always trying to land a joke. A lot of it was flat, though. This movie, always trying to land a joke, and it was usually worked. It usually did a good job with its humor, especially when it was making fun of past Marvel tropes, I have to say. The whole making fun of Black Widow's calming of the Hulk method. That earned me such laughter from the entire theater. Myself, I was doubled over all the times they kept bringing it up, and they kept trying to use it as a way. Yeah. God, I mean, that's what I need. That's, that was a silly thing. And you know what? This movie should parody it. And I was so enthralled with it. And I have to say, it's easily the best of the three Thor movies. But for sure.
And you know what? I think I'm going to agree with you on that. As utterly vapid as this movie was, yeah, just fun, just silly, and probably the most fun I've had at any of them. So I think we agree that this is the best Thor movie, despite also being the dumbest Thor movie. The fact that it was so much silliness and so much self-parody, I think, if this were anything else, I would say that risks creating a problem for the franchise, because if you can't take any of your own make-believe seriously,
Right.
why should we take it seriously when Avengers 3 comes around?
Right. I mean, listen. I mean, in the comics and even in actual Norse mythology, you know, when you hear the term Ragnarok, that is apocalypse. It means apocalypse, basically, and end of world stuff. So the fact that it's called Thor Ragnarok, you think dire stakes, you know, huge implications, you know, should be very serious. And the fact that they turned it literally upside down, Stranger Things reference, by the way, is
not really.
Is well, like you said,
really.
that was a risk. That was a very big risk. But it paid off. They were able to toe that line where the serious thing still happened, and we'll get into spoilers territory very soon about the actual plot. But they were able to have the actual Ragnarok stuff with not as much like serious weight over it, but yet it still worked. I don't know how it still worked. That's a miracle that the movie was able to make it work. But I can understand that from an initial outside perspective, you know, Thor Ragnarok and slapstick comedy, those don't necessarily go hand in hand, and you had to do a very delicate job making sure it didn't lose itself to either side. And I thought the movie didn't.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it didn't because the plot was very serious and had all those stark elements: the threat of Ragnarok, the fact that the goddess of death has come to reclaim her dominion over Asgard.
Right.
You know, you have those elements. The plot is very serious. The tone is very silly.
Yes.
And in that way, it has a classic slapsticky duality that is funny.
Yes.
But again, what does that mean for future Marvel movies? If they're not taking any of the canon seriously, are there any stakes in any Marvel movie anymore? Well,
I would say yes, because one of the biggest, probably most consistent complaints I've heard from people who, you know, still like these Marvel movies, but there's one thing they have take, you know, umbrage with. It's that none of them stand out in terms of like style or terms of like, you know, like the director's vision. It's all pretty straightforward, you know, it's usually action movie with a little bit of comedic timing.
When you say stand out, you mean stand out one from another?
Yes,
Marvel
like
movie.
yes, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really necessarily watch any of these Marvel movies and think, oh, an auteur did that, or that one really stamped their, you know, their style into this movie.
Individual artistic mark on it. They're pretty consistent across the board.
With the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that one was the first one to go, you know what? James Gunn, he did put a little bit of himself in this movie. It was a risk and it was a high reward because everyone loved that movie. And so I think now we're going to start seeing more of it. And I think Thor 3 is the next movie because the director is very much a comedy director. He is not an action guy and he feels comfortable doing comedy. And so I liked it just for the fact that it does now stand out. It was risky, but if it was just for this movie, for this director, for him to do it, that's fine. I don't think it's going to affect any other Avengers movies, teen movies, or even like Black Panther. That looks like it's going to have its own style when it comes out. Or if they do another Ant-Man movie, they're all going to be still. They're not going to actually copy what Thor did. Just like Avengers 2 didn't copy what Guardians 1 did after it came out. They didn't copy each other. Guardians was very much its own thing, and Avengers 2 was still more of the same. So that's what I'm hoping going forward with the future movies. I don't think everything else could be self-parody. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Whereas I think that Guardians of the Galaxy 1 opened the door for comedy. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, flat out comedy. And now Thor Ragnarok, flat out comedy with elements of slapstick. I think we are in danger of them just getting sillier and sillier and sillier. But before we get any deeper into that.
Yes.
Because now we're about to touch on some spoilers here. Let's tell the people, what do you think? See it or not see it?
Definitely see it. I'd say see it opening weekend, or if not, second weekend. You will have a great, fun time. So go see it.
And I'm going to say, if you saw the trailer and you thought, well, that looks silly. It is. You're absolutely right. It's totally silly. That being said, if you are in the mood for a comedy, this was a very solid comedy and a lot of fun. And I actually think it will be the most fun opening weekend because you have to see it with a bunch of people who are going, this is a movie that really benefits from being with an audience.
Yes, you need to find like a good, maybe not quite all the way sold out, but it has to be a packed audience. Find a packed theater. That whole group experience will make it that much more entertaining. I totally agree with you.
This is one, I don't think it matters what size screen you see it on, honestly. There are a couple shots that are beautiful paintings, but they're beautiful at any size. But really, this is a comedy. See it at a busy time at your favorite theater. That'll be a great date night, a great night out with friends. It's a cheer you up, make you feel happy movie. Again, ironically so, given that it's about potentially the end of the world. So that's our recommendation. 2 see-its from us. Definitely go see it. See it this weekend if you can. And now we're going to get into some spoilers. So go see the movie, enjoy it, and then once you've seen it, come on back for the rest of this discussion. So where we left it, I think this may be, the real solidification of the path that Marvel is on towards less and less sincerity, more and more comedy. You're hoping that this is a one-off thing because it's a comedy director, a little respite, sort of comic relief movie for the universe, and then we'll go back to other things.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so listen, first of all, the character of Thor is so different from the main Avenger core that, you know what? He's already a little ridiculous just in terms of like how initially he talked when he first showed up in these movies, what he initially is wearing, where he's from. So he's already kind of over the top.
Fish out of water.
So you needed to have a moment where Thor he starts realizing how kind of just ridiculous he is, and therefore, can play with that ridiculousness in future installments. I think this movie was the whole opening where he's caught in the chain and he's trying to like get to what the evil demon's plan is, but he keeps spinning around. He's like, "Oh, hold up, time out. Oh, I can't see you right now." Like, that's good. I need the character to be like that because that's very much more relatable than someone quoting Shakespeare type stuff or like very elaborate weird English. That one is just a lot less relatable. But like someone who can't necessarily...
Who are you referring to when you talk about Shakespearean English?
That's what Tony Stark said to Thor in the park in the first Avengers movie. Are we doing Shakespeare in the park? Dost mother know you weareth her drapes? Because that's how Thor talked initially. So you know what? Yeah. If he wants to be more human, and this is how a human probably would react, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, he is relatable, and he's very charming.
He's getting more relatable, I'd say.
Perhaps more impressive is how charming the Hulk is in this movie.
Yes,
as the Hulk, not as Bruce Banner.
You know what? I was concerned when the trailer showed, like, when Hulk is talking. Hulk, first of all, is talking, and not just talking. He's saying like complete sentences, and I actually had a problem with that. I'm like, Hulk doesn't do that. His brain just does not work like that. But then they explained if he was like stuck as the Hulk for 2 years, he'd have to like actually start learning words and actually like have to making complete sense. So I was like, oh, okay, I can buy this now. You know what? You explain it well. I'm with it. Okay, yeah. So he's very much charming, very, very funny.
Yeah, no, much more relatable as the Hulk, which this movie needed, since he's going to stay as the Hulk for a prolonged period of time. He's not just going to be an issue. And again, because it was so lighthearted and silly, I didn't have any feelings of like, is this the right thing for the Hulk? It didn't cross my mind once. No continuity things, honestly, crossed my mind once this whole movie because it was all just I mean, lighthearted nonsense.
They at least tried to. I don't think they fully actually succeeded, but they did try to. This is why Hulk wasn't around for Civil War. He wasn't even on the planet. Now they still don't even explain how did he get off the planet. They do just show like a quick flashback footage of the plane getting, I think, sucked up, but don't know how, don't know by whom, don't know when. Okay, and now we know he wasn't on the planet. Okay, good. Moving on.
It's the world between known and unknown. It's where all lost and unloved things go. So it's all mystery. I like when they don't explain mysteries. And certainly this movie, it was not its place to try to explain anything to you because it was way too silly. You wouldn't have taken it seriously if it had tried to explain something.
So, and I want to comment on a very big spoiler near the third act of the movie of the actual Ragnarok event. The fact that the movie actually lives up to its promise. Like the movie's called Thor Ragnarok, and usually you're like, oh, there's a threat of the end of the world. Well, they'll stop it in the third act. They'll prevent it. No. This movie goes the opposite. They want it to happen. That was the realization. And so Asgard is destroyed in this movie. Yeah. That is something I never saw coming.
Ragnarok, in order to prevent the death of the world, it had to be destroyed.
Yes, that is actually a pretty clever idea. But it was just something like, you always see like
all the way clever, but yeah, no, it was good.
Well, yeah, just different. And then but you always see the heroes try to like prevent the calamity at the end. No, we're gonna help cause the calamity because we don't want our long lost sister. Again, another spoiler. The fact that the goddess of death, Hela, is related to Thor and Loki. It helps tie in also to the original Thor movie when Odin kept Loki's parentage secret from him. I felt it was like a little bit nice of a culmination from the first Thor with the secret family relationships, and to this one, how Loki sees now Thor is experiencing how Loki felt. I felt that was a nice touch, and how Thor is now adapt to Loki's tricks and said like, I wish you could be more than just you try to trick me. I find out now, blah blah blah. So Loki had some growth when he showed up in the third act to help. I
don't know about that, but Thor definitely had some growth.
They even literally copied themselves from Spider-Man: Homecoming. Remember when Spider-Man goes to Iron Man and says, "If you really cared, you'd be here right now." And that's when Robert Downey shows up. And then at the end of this movie, Thor's like, I really wish you were actually here in the room right now. And Loki catches it. I am. I'm like, we're just using our own movies to help with arcs. Okay.
I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's an arc. He clearly stole whatever that blue glowing box is. And he's mischievous.
That's the Infinity Stone. It's the Infinity Stone. Adam?
Whatever.
Oh my God.
Whatever, Colin. Who cares?
Get out of the blue glowing box.
This is perfect. Perfectly gets me to my point about this movie and why I think actually this is a decent way for Marvel to go. Because it's a kids movie. They didn't take any of it seriously. She's like, oh, most of this crap is fake. Infinity Gauntlet, no, it's fake. Just knocks it on the floor. Yes.
Well,
I think that's the appropriate way to treat this because this stuff is not serious.
Well, but first of all, she was able to do that because we actually saw the actual Infinity Gauntlet. Thanos has it. So yeah, that one is all fine. But then she says the Infinity Stone, and she goes, okay, that's not bad because you can't really make a parody of that because that is going to be happening in Avengers 3. So they didn't cross the line there. They didn't cross the line there.
I think they did. It's none of it's serious. None of it's serious. It's all a joke. The whole thing's a joke. The whole thing's for kids. It means nothing. I
don't think the whole thing was a joke. There was actually, I thought, with the whole idea of saving Asgard by saying Asgard is not, permanently this place in the clouds in the middle of the 9 realms. It's anywhere that they call home. And the thought of they're going to go to Norway and help rebuild Asgard on Earth. I didn't think that was like silly and trivial. I thought that was very good emotional resonance for Thor to become the leader of his people, save the people more than save the city. That's a very important plot.
Would have been if this wasn't such a silly movie and he hadn't saved it in such a silly way. The plot is serious. But the tone was all very, very frivolous the whole time. I'd say even as he's realizing that it's frivolous.
The tone is 90% comedy, but I'd say that like when Odin's death scene, I didn't think was actually a funny moment. I didn't think Thor when he's like losing, he lost his eye and he sees his father again in his vision. These are not. Yeah. I said so. They knew the moments of when to stop doing the comedy so that we could get some good moments.
Those moments weren't comedy, but they were very gentle and very frivolous, right? Like Odin, there's no death of Odin. He just sparkles and now he's gone, and he's not really gone because he's gonna come back. The eye gets lost. He doesn't scream. He doesn't go, oh, my eye. It's just like, oh, it's gone. Now it's makeup. Oh, you remind me of father now, which is a joke for the record. It was all very easy.
He's a higher pain tolerance when an eye pops out.
The whole thing washes over you very easily, this movie. It never rubs your nose in anything serious. And I think that's good because they're kids' movies. And I think that actually is a good way to address the problem of they're superheroes. They're always superheroes. How are you going to have any stakes in any of these when we know that they're all going to be fine? What I really wish, and I'm going to tell you this because I don't know anything about it, and you know a lot more about it than me, but here's what I really hope.
Yeah.
I hope they keep going with that so that everybody kind of chills out a little bit on the inflated stakes. Oh, it's a civil war. Maybe we'll kill each other. No, you won't. You're all superheroes. Everything's fine. Everything should be the way that Hulk and Thor are going to have a civil war, except, it's
War
just going to
Machine
be like
got paralyzed. That's not silly.
Huh?
In Civil War, War Machine got paralyzed. That's not trivial. That was like an actual
that
consequence.
wasn't trivial, and I'm saying it took itself too seriously. This was better because it didn't take itself very seriously, and nothing that serious happened until whenever we finally do get a Thanos movie. I would love it if Thanos is the thing that finally injects real peril into their world.
You're gonna be right. Infinity War, the Avengers 3 and 4. Apparently, it's like a two-parter. It's gonna be like people are gonna die. Just because actors are getting actors are coming to the end of their contract, so they're not going to keep going anymore. So people are going to get killed off. And
don't inside baseball it. It just needs it. The story needs it.
Yes, no, you're right. You're right. I would say even Civil War, I didn't think was that serious because, again, like you said, they're not actually trying to kill each other. They're just trying to let's just everyone just calm down. But these are the calms before like the actual serious storm of Thanos coming.
But it comes across as soap opera, I'm saying. Whereas this one really avoided that by going the other way, going to comedy. I think that's good until we get one movie that's actually just serious the whole way through. I think that would be interesting. You agree?
I agree. It might be Black Panther. We'll see.
I guess we will. And on that note, everyone, thank you very much for joining us for another episode of Inside Voices, First Takes. Obviously, this was Thor Ragnarok, but we hope to see you back here next time when our movie will be... What will it be, Colin?
Should we do Justice League?
Yeah, let's do Justice League.
All right.
Back here, same time, same place for Justice League. I've been Adam Rubin.
And I've been Colin Bendig.
And we'll see you here next time.